Hello everybody, welcome to Sir Chua's Accounting Lessons PH, and this is discussion 12, Intangible Assets. At the end of the video, you should be able to define intangible assets and enumerate examples, explain the recognition criteria and measurement of intangible assets, solve problems involving intangible assets, and define and explain what Goodwill is. This is your lecturer, Kevin Troy M. Chua. Before anything else, please like, share, and subscribe to Sir Chua's Accounting Lessons PH and hit the notification bell button to alert you of the latest video lessons. For all of your questions, comments, and suggestions, please put them down in the comment section below. And for webinar and speakership invites, please send me a message at kevintroy1994@gmail.com. Thank you very much for your utmost support for Sir Chua's Accounting Lessons PH. And may these videos continue to help students in their online learning and academic development. May these videos continue to help teachers in enhancing their lesson plans and teaching methodologies. Thank you very much for trusting Sir Chua's Accounting Lessons PH as your online learning partner. Maraming salamat po. In the last lesson, we discussed about the subsequent measurement of property, plant, and equipment. And now we are ready to move on to another asset line item in the statement of financial position, specifically in the non-current asset section of the balance sheet. And we will be talking about intangible assets. An intangible asset is an identifiable non-monetary asset without physical substance. Okay? So, yan lang po ang definition ng ating accounting standard, which is International Accounting Standard 38 when it relates to intangible assets. Sir, pwede po pala yun? Meron tayong mga assets na hindi natin nakikita physically? Yes, it's true. Meron po tayo nun. Ang tawag po sa kanila, intangible assets. They are identifiable, although hindi natin sila nakikita. It's identifiable, but it's non-monetary, and it doesn't have any substance that you can see it physically. Remember that an asset is a resource that is controlled by an entity as a result of past events and from which future economic benefits are expected. Thus, the three critical attributes of an intangible asset is, syempre, it should be identifiable, although hindi mo siya nakikita. So, paano kaya yon? We'll be discussing that. And also, the company has control over that intangible asset. And number 3, we should expect, diba, future economic benefits para po na meron tayo, na intangible assets na makakapagbigay sa atin still ng future economic benefits such as revenues or reduced future cost. Economic benefits yung mabibigay sa atin ng intangible assets na yan. Okay, let's talk about identifiability. An intangible asset is said to be identifiable when, number 1, it is separable. It's capable of being separated or sold. It can be transferred, it can be licensed, rented, or exchanged either individually or together with a related contract. And it arises from contractual or other legal rights regardless of whether those rights are transferable or separable from the entity or from other rights and obligations. Although you cannot see it, you can identify it because it's separable and it arises from a contractual or legal right. Hindi mo man nakikita, alam mong nandyan. Kasi meron kang transaction na pinagdaanan or pwede mo siyang i-separate. Like, pwede mo siya ibenta, pwede mo pa rin siyang i-transfer, pwede siyang ma-license, pwede siyang ipangpalit. Okay? So, hindi mo man nakikita, you know it's there because there are indications that it is identifiable. Okay, so we have the following examples of intangible assets. We have patented technology, computer software, databases, and trade secrets. Okay, then we also have trademarks, trade dress, newspaper mastheads, and internet domains. We also have video and audiovisual materials like motion pictures and television programs. Sir, di po ba nakikita naman natin yan? Paano po naging intangible asset yan? What we are talking about here is the movie itself, the television program itself, not what you see physically. No, it's the movie itself, it's the television program itself, not the people that you see in the movie, not the people or the equipment that you see in the television program. Okay? Kaya po siya intangible asset pa rin. We also have customer lists, lahat ng detalye ng customers, no? Later, pag-uusapan natin kung paano naging intangible asset yan. And then we also have mortgage servicing rights, licensing, royalty, and standstill agreements. We also have import quotas, franchise agreements, customer and supplier relationships, like yung binanggit ko nga kanina na customer lists, and then we also have your marketing rights. Okay, so an intangible asset can be acquired either by separate purchase. It can also be acquired as a part of business combination. Later, we have an example of how to get a specific identifiable intangible asset as part of a business combination. And then we also have by government grant. So, bigay sa'yo ng government. It was granted by the government to you. And then we also have by exchange of assets or pwede rin pong internally generated yung ating intangible asset. Okay. Now, the standard requires us to recognize an intangible asset, whether purchased or self-created, asset siya kung it is probable that future economic benefits that are attributable to the asset will flow to the entity and you can measure reliably yung ating pong cost ng asset. Now, kung yung dalawang criteria po na daw na yan is hindi natin mamimit, ang requirement po ng IAS 38 sa lahat ng gagastusin natin is i-recognize natin siya as expense. Okay? So if it's not probable that it will bring future economic benefits or you cannot reliably measure yung ating pong cost ng asset, kung asset nga siya, 'di ba? Okay, so yun po, i-expense mo siya kung hindi magka-qualify dyan sa dalawang criteria na yan. Okay, isa lang mag-fail dyan, di na pwede. Okay. Now, intangible assets are initially measured at cost. Halos lahat naman ng asset, ganyan, di ba? But subsequently, how do we measure it? An entity must choose either the cost model or the revaluation model sa ating pong intangible asset. So, pag cost model, kung ano man po yung cost ng intangible asset is cost less accumulated amortization kasi i-amortize po natin siya. We don't call it depreciation it's called amortization. And then in any case po na merong indication for impairment, we check for impairment losses as well. Okay? Or the entity can also choose the other one, which is revaluation model. Intangible assets may be carried at a revalued amount based on fair value. Magmaminus din po tayo ng subsequent amortization and impairment losses only if fair value can be determined by reference to an active market. Again, saan po nire-reference ang fair value? Sa active market. Okay, so intangible assets can be classified into indefinite life at saka finite life or finite life. Pag indefinite life, no foreseeable limit to the period over which the asset is expected to generate net cash inflows to the entity. Okay, so wala siyang useful life na definite, no? Kaya nga indefinite life. Now, if it's finite life, meron lang pong limited period or number of years na magiging beneficial siya sa entity. So, i-amortize ba natin pag finite or indefinite life or hindi ba tayo mag-amortize? So, yun yung mga issues natin na i-address later sa problems. The cost less residual value of an intangible asset with a finite useful life should be amortized on a systematic basis over that life. Dahil meron po tayong basis ng life nung intangible asset, pwede tayong mag-amortize. Okay? The amortization method should reflect the pattern of benefits, but if the benefit pattern cannot be reliably determined, then we amortize the intangible asset through straight line method. Okay? Kumbaga, binibigyan po ang companies ng kalayaan ng method of amortization provided that the amortization method will reflect the pattern of benefits that they get from the intangible asset. However, if it cannot be reliably determined, then simplehan na lang natin straight line method. Okay? Amortization charge is recognized in profit or loss unless another standard requires it na makakasama po yung amortization charge na yon as a cost of another asset. Okay? And then the amortization period should be reviewed at least annually, and it should also be assessed for impairment in accordance with our standard on asset impairment, IAS 36. Pagka naman po indefinite useful life, syempre wala naman po tayong basis ng useful life dahil indefinite nga po siya at hindi mo alam kung kailan siya matatapos. So an intangible asset with an indefinite useful life should not be amortized. Its useful life, however, should be reviewed each reporting period to determine whether events and circumstances continue to support an indefinite useful life. Baka naman po may chance na meron tayong circumstance na makita and hindi na po pala siya indefinite. So, meron na po tayong pwedeng i-count na number of years. Parang ganon, okay? If they do not, the change in the useful life assessment from indefinite to finite should be accounted for as a change in accounting estimate. So, when it becomes finite, syempre, i-amortize na po siya. Okay? And then, dahil pag indefinite po ang useful life ng intangible asset, wala po siyang amortization, kailangan pa rin po siyang i-check kung baka may indications of impairment. Okay? So, wala mang amortization, check mo baka it is impaired. Okay. Now, due to the nature of intangible assets, subsequent expenditures, mga pinagkakagastusan natin sa kanya afterwards, will only rarely meet the criteria for being recognized in the carrying amount of an asset. So, basically po kasi, yung mga pinagkakagastusan natin sa intangible assets afterwards na ma-recognize na siya as asset is usually expense na talaga siya. Later on, you will know why. Subsequent expenditure on brands, mastheads, publishing titles, customer lists, and similar items must always be recognized in profit or loss as incurred. So, meron pong sinabi yung standard na kapag ka daw po sa brands, sa mastheads, sa publishing titles, customer lists, and similar items, any subsequent expenditure is idediretso nyo na daw po as expense. So, it should be recognized in profit or loss. Hindi nyo na siya i-capitalize. Let's talk about a patent. A patent is an exclusive right granted by a government to an inventor. So basically, it's all about invention, enabling him to control the manufacture, sale, or other use of invention for a specific period of time. Kapag granted ka na ng patent sa iyong invention, wala nang pwedeng gumaya nun. Pwede mo siyang kasuhan kapag ginaya niya yung iyong invention. Okay? Now, in the Philippines, we are governed by Republic Act number 8293 or the Intellectual Code of the Philippines. And here in the Philippines, the legal life of a patent is 20 years. Ano po yung nasa right side na picture natin? Yan po ang toilet paper roll na patent. So, kita nyo po na ganyan po dapat natin nilalagay yung toilet paper roll sa ating mga CR. Hindi po pabaliktad sa likod ha. Paharap po ang kuha natin ng tissue. Okay? So, yan po yung patent related to that. Okay? Remember that patent is being granted to an invention. A patent can be acquired by purchase. So, kapag ka po in any case that the patent is acquired by purchase, ang kasama po sa cost is yung ating purchase price, import duties, non-refundable purchase taxes, and any directly attributable cost in getting the patent. Okay? Now, in any case that the patent is internally developed, which is most of the time, ganyan na nangyayari kasi yung company yung may invention, syempre, internally develop yung patent. Ia-apply nila yan, di ba? Hindi nila bibiliin lang. Talagang i-apply nila, okay? So, ang kasama po na cost ng patent na i-capitalize natin as an asset includes all licensing and related legal fees in securing the rights. Yun lang po ang kasama sa i-capitalize ha, licensing and any related legal fees. Legal fees ng ano? In securing the rights or securing the patent itself. Paano kapag ka dinefend mo yung patent subsequently? Kunyari, Meron nagkaso sa'yo, hoy, hindi, ako ang naunang may nakaisip ng ganyan. So ide-defend mo sa korte, ganyan, ganon, okay? Any legal fees related to successful defense. Successful ha. Successful defense of the patent. Yan po ay i-expense mo na lang. Hindi mo po yun i-capitalize as an asset kasi yung binayad mong legal fees is only for the maintenance of the patent, not about extending the useful life or the benefit of the patent to you. It's only about maintenance. Paano naman kapag unsuccessful yung pagde-defend mo ng patent? Natalo ka o loss naman yon ng company. Okay? A patent shall be amortized over the legal life or its useful life, whichever is shorter. Ang legal life po ay 20 years, pero kung ang useful life ay 15 years, syempre 15 years lang. Ganun po siya. Okay? If a competitive patent is acquired to protect an original patent, the cost shall be amortized over the remaining life of the old patent. Nangyayari po yan, kukuha tayo ng competitive patent as a way of protection. So, the time that you got the competitive patent, i-amortize mo siya dun sa remaining life na lang ng old patent. So, kung 10 years yung useful life ng old patent mo and you got a competitive patent after the 3rd year of amortization of the old patent, then you amortize the competitive patent at 7 years. Okay, how about trademark? A trademark is a symbol, sign, slogan, or name used to mark a product to distinguish it from other products. The cost of a trademark, maaari din po kasi siyang i-purchase. So, ganun din po, purchase price and any directly attributable cost to get the trademark. However, if it's internally developed, the cost of a trademark includes the expenditures required to establish it, filing fees, registry fees, and other costs related in getting the trademark. The legal life of a trademark is 10 years. Yun nga lang po kasi renewable every 10 years. So, ang nangyayari, renew ka lang naman ng renew. So, ang nangyayari sa trademark is para siyang indefinite, no? It becomes or it has an indefinite useful life. So, maa-amortize mo ba pag indefinite and useful life? Siyempre, hindi. 'Di ba? Kasi wala ka namang basis eh. 'Di ba? So, ang nangyayari, hindi man siya i-amortize, test mo for impairment every year, at least annually, or when there are indications of impairment of the trademark. Copyright naman po is an exclusive right granted naman po sa mga authors, composers, or artists, enabling the grantee to publish, sell, or otherwise benefit from the literary, musical, or artistic work. So, kapag po copyrighted yung material, syempre, hindi natin pwede i-copy-paste, hindi natin pwedeng nakawin, ayun po, no? So, hindi natin pwedeng angkinin, no? Yan, ikaw kasi angkin ka na naman ng angkin eh. Joke lang. Okay? So, as you can see, the word na ginamit po sa definition ng copyright, it is an exclusive right sa author, composer, or artist nung mga literary pieces, textbooks, whatever it is, or musical or artistic work. Okay? So, some of the examples, ayan po, yung ating pong textbook o di po kaya yung mismong music. Ayan po, album ni Lea Salonga na Songs from the Screen. Ayan, copyrighted material yan, no? So, hindi mo pwedeng basta-basta gamitin as background music sa YouTube vlogs mo kasi copyrighted material yung mga kanta ni Lea Salonga. Ganun po yun, okay? Now, the term of protection for copyright is during the life of the author and for 50 years after death. So, kung meron pong textbook or meron pong literary piece or kung meron pong kanta, kunyari, no? Habang buhay yung author or the composer, nasa kanya yung copyright. Pagkamatay niya, kakount ka po ng 50 years. Okay? A copyright should be reviewed for impairment by assessing at the end of each reporting period kung meron pong indication ng impairment. Sir, ang copyright po ba ay ina-amortize? Tatanungin kita, ma-amortize mo ba? May basis ka ba ng number of useful life? Mahirap. Well, ganito po kasi yan. Theoretically, ang copyright po sana is talagang i-amortize mo. Kaso ang hirap naman, my goodness. Paano mo malalaman yung number of years ng copyright? huhulaan mo yung date of death nung composer or author, tapos magbibilang ka ng 50 years. That's impossible. You don't know when will the person die naman po, 'di ba? Para medyo masama yung example ko, but it's how it is, no? So basically, copyright is not really amortized na due to the fact that we cannot get the useful life. Okay, let me give you an example. Our national heroes novel, Non Limit Tangere, by Dr. Jose Rizal, is already in public domain. Ano po yung public domain? Hindi na po kailangan na i-check yung copyright dyan. Bakit? Kailan po namatay si Dr. Jose Rizal? December 30, 1896. So, add ka po ng 50 years, that is already, compute natin, 1896 plus 50. So, on December 30, 1946, paso na po ang copyright ng No Limit Tangere ni Dr. Jose Rizal, which is, ang nangyari po is, nasa public domain na po ang No Limit Tangere. Paano natin masasabi na nasa public domain? Hindi nyo napapansin ang mga textbook po ng ating mga estudyante sa junior high school ng No Limit Tangere at El Filibusterismo, although nakalagay po ay No Limit Tangere ni Jose Rizal, pero may mga author na po, di ba, na mga nasa baba nung cover nung textbook. It's because it's already in public domain. Pwede nang gamitin ng kung sino-sino. Pwede nang i-post sa mga websites ng walang pahintulot ni Dr. Jose Rizal. Okay? Kasi tapos na po yung 50 years after death ni Dr. Jose Rizal. So, the material is already in public domain. Under the agreement of franchise, one party called the franchisor grants certain rights to another party which is called the franchisee. Okay? O yan. Nag-franchise ka ng not sponsored, Jollibee. Nag-franchise ka ng McDonald's. O yun po yung franchise agreement. Eh sir, bakit naging intangible asset yun? Eh, may nakikita kang building, may nakikita kang tables and chairs. 'Di ba? Parang may physical substance naman 'yon. Hindi 'yon. Ang sinasabi natin sa franchise is the right itself to operate a Jollibee. The right itself to operate a McDonald's. Not because you can see the building of McDonald's, not because you can see the building of Starbucks. Ay, sorry, hindi pala nagpa-franchise ang Starbucks sa Pilipinas. Okay, not because you can see a building of Jollibee or McDonald's, meron na siyang physical substance. Hindi. Pag sinabi mong franchise, yung mismong karapatan mo na gamitin ang pangalang Jollibee or McDonald's. Yun po yung franchise. Kaya po siya naging intangible asset. So, wag nyo pong ipipuloso po yung accounting prof nyo na meron po siyang physical substance, hindi po siya magka-qualify as intangible asset. Hindi po. Ang franchise po, yung right mismo to operate the restaurant at the name of Jollibee or in the name of Jollibee or in the name of McDonald's. Not sponsored. Okay. The cost of the franchise includes the lump sum payment for the acquisition of the franchise plus directly attributable costs necessary for the intended use, such as legal fees and expenses incurred with the connection with the acquisition of the right. So, kung ano man daw po yung mga binayaran mo, which includes the the acquisition cost of the franchise, legal fees, at saka any other expenses para makuha mo yung right of the franchise, yun po ang cost of franchise. If the franchise is granted for a definite period, edi amortize mo over the useful life or a definite period na specific, whichever is shorter. Pero if the franchise was given to you indefinitely, hindi mo siya syempre i-amortize. Pero syempre, check mo for impairment. Pero both cases naman po, lagi naman natin chine-check for impairment. And then we also have these other these other intangible assets like broadcasting licenses, and then airline rights, at saka po yung ating customer list database. Pag sinabi pong customer list database, database yan ng mga customers, pati age, pati contact number, that's considered an intangible assets po. Pag inacquired ha, pero po, pag internally generated yung ating pong customer list, hindi po natin siya intangible asset. Again, a customer list will qualify as an intangible asset when it is acquired. But when a customer list is only internally generated by an entity, it is not an intangible asset. And let's proceed with the discussion of your problems. For problem number 1, CJ Company has the following account balances at year-end. Ang tanong po sa inyo, how much should be reported in the balance sheet as intangible assets? I-apply natin yung napag-aralan natin in the theory. You can pause the video. Check nyo muna kung tama yung makukuha nyong amount. Then play the video if you're ready to know the answer. Okay, assuming that you have tried answering this, isa-isahin natin siya. First one is, franchise cost, 10-year agreement. Intangible asset po ba yan nating i-report sa balance sheet? Siyempre. Okay? 5 million franchise cost. How about computer software? Nasabi po natin yan sa list of examples kanina, di ba? Of intangible assets. Sir, nakikita naman yung computer software. Hindi mo nakikita yan. Yung mismong nakikita mo sa monitor ba'y nahahawakan mo? Hindi naman, di ba? Okay? So, computer software is also an intangible asset. Okay? The software is the software itself. Hindi ko siya ma-explain in IT terms, but a software cannot really be seen. It doesn't have a physical substance, right? Okay. How about prepaid expenses on rent and insurance? A prepaid expense is only an advance payment of a future expiration of an expense, diba? Or future expiration of an asset to be transferred as expense. So that is not an intangible asset. How about a patent from an invention that you have developed? Syempre, kasama po yan. How about customer list na internally generated, gumastos ka ng 400,000 to generate that customer list? Ang sabi po natin kanina, when the customer list is internally generated, it's not an intangible asset of the entity. But if a customer list is purchased by an entity or acquired by an entity, then it is part of your intangible assets. Bond sinking fund is only a fund set aside for that purpose. So, it's not an intangible asset. How about goodwill? Ito po ay pag-uusapan natin mamaya kung ano yung goodwill na yan. Okay? But it's also part of your intangible assets. And then, research and development costs. Yan po ang mga cost na ginagastos natin for the research, syempre. And the development of our inventions or new processes or new products, product testing, yan po yun. Okay, expense po yan. Okay, so hindi po siya kasama. Add everything po na nakacheck, the amount of intangible assets to be reported in the balance sheet is 11,400,000. Awesome, let's proceed to problem number 2. Sella Company had the following transactions and account balances during 2019. Magkano daw po ang i-report natin as intangible assets? Apply nyo po ulit yung mga napag-aralan natin. Try answering problem number 2 and play the video again if you're ready. Okay, assuming that you have already tried answering this problem, let's analyze them one by one. Legal costs in organizing a newly formed corporation, 250,000. Hindi po kasama yan. Organizational costs lang yan. Expense po iyan. Okay, ginastos mo lang po para makapag-organize or makabuo ka ng bagong corporation. Expense lang po yan. How about your insurance premium for 4 years? That is a prepaid insurance. So, that is an asset. Pag na-expire, expense na. Hindi din po kasama. How about a copyright that you purchase? Syempre, kasama yan. Okay? Legal fees for filing a patent on a new project, 70,000. Titignan nyo mabuti kung ano yung nature ng legal fees. Pag sinabing legal fees for successfully defending a patent, expense yun. Pag legal fees for unsuccessful defense of the patent, loss yun. Pero dito, if-file mo pa lang yung patent, which in turn, pag naging patent yan na totoo, capitalizable yan. Okay? So, syempre, fina-file mo pa lang yung patent and you paid legal fees for that, that is also kasama. Okay? And then the franchise cost of 1 million, wala namang ibang binigay na information, sama mo na yan. Okay? How about the advertising cost of the newly franchised business unit? O, meron kang franchise right, ginastosan mo ng 1 million, in-advertise mo para syempre makilala ng tao yung bago mong branch ng Jollibee. Gumastos ka ng 200,000 sa advertising cost. Hindi kasama yan. Marketing expense lang ng company yan. Advertising expense lang po yan. It's just that related siya dun sa bago mong franchise, di ba? Okay, so add all three. The correct answer is 1,370,000. And let's proceed to problem number 3. France's company developed a new machine. Since the company regarded it as valuable, the entity had it patented. So, gumawa sila ng bagong machine at ayaw nilang manakaw yung kanilang idea, kaya pinapatent nila. Okay? Ito daw po yung mga nagastos. So, purchase of special equipment, salaries of scientists, prototype testing, filing of the patent, and fees paid to the government. So, for number 1, ang tanong po sa inyo is, magkano daw po yung i-record as intangible asset and magkano naman daw po yung i-record as research and development expense. Okay? Pause the video, try answering the problem, and play the video again if you're ready. Okay, assuming that you have already answered the problem, isa-isahin po natin. Number 1, purchase of special equipment for machine development, 2 million. Yan po ay example ng research and development cost. Kasi bumili ka ng equipment para mag-develop ng isang machine. Okay? Nasa stage ka pa lang ng testing. Parang ganon. Okay? Next is salaries of scientists, workers, assistants, and engineers, 300,000. Research and development din po yan. Kasi po, may dine-develop pa lang kayo. Okay? How about prototype testing? So, may nabuo na kayo na prototype, ide-test nyo kung gumagana. Testing pa lang yan, hindi pa nabuo. Research and development pa rin po yan. But the time that you have already filed your patent and you incurred legal fees for that patent, that is an intangible asset. Patent. Kasama din po yung ibabayad nyo sa government patent office para makuha yung patent right. So, kasama din po yan. Add everything related. How much should be recorded as intangible asset? E di yung dalawang intangible na asset natin, which is, baliktad, sorry. Sorry, baliktad. Okay, allow me to edit it, on the spot. Pagbabaliktarin ko. Ayan. Sorry po. Baliktad. Ayan. O, ayan. Okay. So, how much should be recorded as intangible asset? Ito pong patent filing natin ng legal fees, and then yung binayad po natin sa government patent office na 20,000. So, 220,000. And then the research and development expense, 2,400,000. Okay? So, that happens. Talagang minsan mas malaki yung ginagastos natin sa research and development just to create a new product or just to create a new process. Ganun po talaga. Okay? Hindi po talaga naiiwasan yon. Malaki ang ginagastos natin sa research. Okay? Tulad ngayon, di ba, sa COVID-19, malaki ang ginagastos natin sa research and development ng vaccine. O, ganun po talaga. Mahal talagang gumastos for research and development. Okay, problem 4. On January 1, 2016, Cream Company purchased a patent for 7,140,000. The patent is being amortized over the remaining legal life of 15 years, expiring January 1, 2031. During 2019, so after 3 years, the entity determined that the economic benefits of the patent would not last longer than 10 years from the date of acquisition. So, tinatanong po sa atin is how much is the patent amortization for 2016, magkano din po sa 2019, and the carrying value of the patent to be reported in the balance sheet for December 31, 2019. Pause the video, try answering the problem, and play it again when you're ready. Okay, assuming that you have already tried answering the problem, let's discuss them one by one. Na-miss ko yung dati kong notes sa whiteboard. So, ginamit ko yung dating notes ko. Or, no. I should not call it notes. So, yung mga, yung mga sulat ko sa blackboard dati. When I was still teaching face-to-face nung wala pang pandemic. Ayan. Okay, so, how much is the patent amortization for 2016? Kunin niyo po yung cost ng asset, na intangible asset, which is 7,140,000. Simply divided by the number of years of legal life. Okay? 15 years. So, 7,140,000 divided by 15 years, the amortization for that year is 476,000. The entry is debit amortization expense, 476,000. Credit patent for 76,000. Pwede rin po kayong medyo mag-inarte ng konti sa pag-entry. Imbes na idiretso nyo sa patent account, pwede po kayong gumawa ng accumulated amortization. Okay? It will function like accumulated depreciation, which you will deduct in the cost of the asset to get the carrying value. Pwede din po yun. Okay? So, choice nyo kung ididiretso nyo sa asset account or gagamit kayo ng accumulated amortization account. No problem. For number 2, magkano daw po yung patent amortization for 2019? Tingnan natin yung nangyari. January 1, 2016, ina-amortize mo siya for 15 years na life. Pero dumaan ng 16, 17, tsaka 18. So, 3 taon yung dumaan. Nalaman daw po natin na 10 years na lang pala from the date of acquisition yung economic benefits ng patent natin. Ganito po gagawin natin dyan. Di ba 476,000 yung amortization natin under 15 years? Na-amortize mo na siya for 3 years. So, yung accumulated amortization for 3 years natin, bago mo i-effect yung bagong number of years, 1,428,000. So, before effecting the change, get the latest carrying value. The cost of the asset, of the intangible asset, is 7,140,000. Minus accumulated amortization of 1,428,000, the carrying value of the intangible asset is 5,712,000. Ngayon, hindi ka na pupunta sa 15 years kasi nalaman mo na 10 years from the date of acquisition yung life or yung life or economic benefits na mabibigay ng patent. Kaso, ima-minus mo yung 3 years kasi nakapag-amortize ka na ng 3 years. So, you amortize it at 7 remaining years. The carrying value latest of 5,712,000 divided by 7, the patent amortization for 2019 is 816,000. Now, ang tanong sa inyo sa number 3, magkano na ang carrying value ng patent on December 31, 2019? Two ways. It's either you start from the very, very start na cost na 7,140,000 minus yung ating amortization for 3 years, nung 15 years pa yung legal life niya, which is 1,428,000. And yung amortization natin for 2019 na 816,000, it will give you a carrying value of the patent of 4,896,000. Or a much simpler way, the latest carrying value before effecting the change is 5,712,000. You simply deduct the amortization for the latest year, which is 2019. You will also get 4,896,000. Okay? And that is your problem number 4. Let's proceed with problem number 5. Chim Company was granted a patent on January 1, 2016 and capitalized 450,000. The entity was amortizing the patent over over the useful life of 15 years. During 2019, the entity paid 150,000 in successfully defending an attempted infringement of the patent. After the legal action was completed, binenta yung patent for 750,000. How much is the gain from sale of the patent, assuming no amortization will be taken in the year of disposal? Okay, so try answering the problem and go back here when you're ready. Okay, so here is the solution for that. Okay. Ang asset cost po natin is 450,000 divided by 15 years. Your annual amortization is 30,000. Okay? 2016, 2017, and 2018, that's 3 years. So, yung 30,000 times 3, 90,000. Yan yung accumulated amortization mo at the end of 2018. Step 1, get the latest carrying value before the disposal of the asset. Okay? So, the cost of the asset is 450,000 minus accumulated amortization of 90,000. The carrying value is 360,000. Ang sabi po sa problem, no amortization will be taken in the year of disposal. So, hindi nyo po kukuhanan ng 2019 na amortization. So, kung ano po yung latest carrying value, yun na po yung i-compare nyo sa selling price na 750,000. Since the selling price is 750,000 and the carrying value is 360,000 upon disposal, the gain on sale of the patent is 390,000. Sir, saan po napunta yung 150,000 na successful defense natin ng patent? Ang sabi ko sa inyo, kapag ka po may successful defense of a patent, yan po ay expense lang because it is only a maintenance of the patent. It is not an enhancement of the future economic benefits of the patent. It is merely merely a maintenance of the patent. Okay? That is your problem number 5. Let's talk about goodwill. Goodwill arises when earnings exceed normal earnings by reason of good name, capable staff and personnel, high credit standing, reputation for fair dealings, reputation for superior products, favorable location, and a list of regular customers. Masasabi mo ang company ay isang goodwill if they have a good name and good reputation in the industry. Okay? It is the most intangible of all the intangible assets. You can't even identify that sa totoo lang, di ba? Kasi wala namang kontrata yung goodwill, di ba? And it's also not separable. Pero bakit siya nagiging intangible asset? No? Mamaya pag-uusapan natin. Goodwill standing alone cannot be bought and sold and is only identified with the entity as a whole. So, you cannot sell your goodwill, di ba? It is identified with the company itself. Okay? Pero, bakit siya nagiging intangible asset? Meron po tayong dalawang uri ng goodwill, internal goodwill at saka purchased goodwill. Pag sinabing internal goodwill, yan po ay goodwill in itself ng company. Alam nila na meron silang good name and good reputation in the industry. Alam nila yan sa sarili nila. But it's not measurable. Lalo na po in financial terms, that's not measurable. Okay? So, the good name and the good reputation of the company, if it's internally generated, kumbaga, alam mo lang sa sarili mo mabait ka. Parang ganon. Okay? So, for companies, internal goodwill is not recognized as an asset. Ano po yung nire-recognize natin as an asset? Yung tinatawag po nating purchased goodwill. Purchased goodwill arises when the business is purchased. It is recognized as an asset because it is paid for, binayaran. Goodwill shall not be amortized because its useful life is indefinite. Wala po tayong definite measurement kung paano malalaman ng useful life ng goodwill. However, test po natin ang goodwill for indications of impairment. Baka po impaired yung ating goodwill. Okay, so actually, pag ang purchased goodwill po kasi is nangyayari when one company purchases another company. Okay? Nagkakaroon po ng tinatawag nating business combinations. And we are actually governed by International Financial Reporting Standard 3, business combinations. Okay? The totality of the discussion of consolidation, business combinations, is ituturo po sa inyo sa advanced accounting. In the new curriculum, it's actually called accounting for business combinations. Yun po ang subject for that. However, our focus here in intermediate accounting is how to measure goodwill when one company is acquiring another company. Okay? If the purchase price transferred in purchasing an entity is greater than the fair value of the identifiable net assets, the difference will be reported as goodwill. At yan po yung sinasabi nating purchased goodwill. But if the purchase price transferred in purchasing an entity is mas mababa po sa fair value of identifiable net assets, then the difference is a gain on bargain purchase. Kasi nabili mo yung entity at a bargain. Okay? Parang ganun po siya. It's parang ganun. Okay? So, the gain on bargain purchase will be recognized in profit or loss. Sige, lagyan natin ng problem. Para maintindihan nyo. On April 1, 2011, ZZ Company paid cash of 620,000. So, yan daw po yung purchase price. Para mabili daw po si AA Company. Accounted for as a merger. So, meron daw po si AA Company na cash, inventory, PPE, may sarili siyang goodwill, and liabilities. Now, the inventory had a fair value of 150,000 and then the PPE has a fair value of 380,000. Ang tanong po sa atin, magkano ang goodwill na i-record sa books ni ZZ kapag binili niya na si AA as a result of the business combination. So, this is how we do it. So, the consideration amount or the purchase price is 620,000. Ano po itong FMVINA? Fair market value of identifiable net assets. Again, that is fair market value of identifiable net assets. Okay. So, remember, ang kinukuha natin ay fair market value lang. So, kung may information sa problem na may pagbabago sa fair value, yun ang gagamitin mo. And take note, ang kinukuha lang po natin yung identifiable. So, yung goodwill nung i-acquire mong company, hindi mo yan isasama. Okay? Cash is 60,000. Inventory is 180,000. But since the inventory has a fair value of 150 yung kukunin nating inventory. PPE has a net amount of 320,000 but the fair value is 380,000. So, 380,000. Deduct natin yung liabilities kasi net assets po yung hinihingi. Okay? The fair market value of identifiable net assets is 470,000. The consideration or the purchase price is greater than the net assets of the company that you are acquiring. The difference between the two is what you call goodwill, which is 150,000. What if, lagyan tayo ng what if, the consideration is 450,000. What will you do? Nabili mo ang isang company na may net assets in fair value na 470,000 for only 450,000. So, the negative amount of 20,000 will be recorded as a gain on bargain purchase because you purchased the company at a bargain, and that is a gain in the company's books, which amounts to 20,000. And our next lesson is about investments in equity and debt securities. Thank you very much for listening to our lesson for today. Again, please like, share, and subscribe to Sir Chua's Accounting Lessons PH and hit the notification bell button to alert you of the latest video lessons. For all of your questions, comments, and suggestions, please put them down in the comment section below. And for webinar and speakership invites, please send me a message at kevintroy.chua1994@gmail.com. This has been Sir Chua's Accounting Lessons PH College Edition. This is Intermediate Accounting Part 1. To God be all the glory, honor, and praise. Thank you and have a great day. Reach for your dreams. Hiraya Manawari. 너를 기억하면 난 가슴이 아파와 이렇게 잊혀진다면 다시 사랑할 수 없을 것 같아